and welcome everyone. My name is Eric Pett. Today's ITS video is about the IT Asset Management Maturity Model. The ITAM Maturity Model was created to allow customers to assess their asset management programs against best practice at each level. As an ITAM program matures, more policies and programs are put into place for an organization to gain a better understanding of what they have and the financial implications of the decisions during the asset lifecycle. Our agenda today, we will review the IT Management Maturity Model and then review example customer case studies. As you can see here, there are 5 levels to the Asset Management Maturity Model. And at the bottom, as we move from left to right, we move from an ad hoc environment to a more controlled environment as we talk about the accuracy of our asset data. And on the right-hand side, we move from a manual level of automation to an automated level. In the chaotic world, imagine, if you will, an IT environment where they just purchased their asset management tool. They have a very ad hoc environment. They have no control over their IT assets. They have a very undocumented approach for policies and procedures. They have unrestricted access into that environment with that data. As we move along the model, we enter the aware stage. We have a little more control over IT assets. We've just started to implement some basic policies and procedures. We're starting to reduce the error rates, but they're still high, and we still have inaccurate documentation. As we move to an established environment, we have moderate control over our IT assets. We've developed and implemented more ITAM policies and procedures, and we start to develop a repository in place to manage our hardware and configuration items. We implement a change management process so that we can track the changes that are going on our configuration items while they're being used. Our data accuracy is improving, and we're starting to be able to do basic chargebacks inside of our environment. As we move into the proactive stage, we can actually start to marry our financial data with our asset data. We start to gain a level of control over our IT assets. We have comprehensive, reliable data. We're able to do detailed chargebacks inside of our environment, and improvements are driven by data versus impulse. And finally, as we move up to the value stage, IT and business metrics start to align themselves. We have real-time infrastructure. Our ITAM starts to become a strategic element inside of IT operations and core for any major business decisions. And we continue to perform the policies and procedures inside of our asset management system. Here we have 2 example case studies. Let's go ahead and take a look at each of them. Customer A, we've given them about a half a level. They have no IT refresh program. They have no disposal documentation. Very little processes are in place. In order to bring them up to about a 1.5, they need to develop basic ITAM policies and processes. They need to design a refresh program, capture that disposal information, and start to control the ins and outs of IT assets inside of their environment. The potential savings for doing something like this, in our example, the customer found roughly 600 unused laptops still under warranty and about 400 workstations at the end of life. A refresh program helps to standardize on a model, allowing for volume purchases and reducing support costs. Capturing that disposal information starts to mitigate the risk involved with disposing assets. Without a disposal process or having tight control over how your assets are disposed, you might as well just be throwing them outside and letting anybody walk up and take your assets. We start to perform a physical inventory to discover assets not on the network. As in our example, the 600 unused laptops found in storage closets, under people's desks, or even inside the basement. These discovered assets can be reallocated, avoiding future purchase costs of new assets. So we can start to actually use some of the assets that we purchased, those 600 unused laptops, but at the same time, we can actually target those 400 workstations that are at the end of life, which means any repairs are going to have to be at cost to the company in order to fix those workstations. So maybe we could target those with some of those 600 laptops we found and start to equip the entire environment with in-warranty assets versus out-of-warranty assets. Customer B, we've put it about a 1.5. Some of the facts there: they have a basic ITAM program in place. They are running a refresh program. They do have a discovery tool running with accurate data. Some of the improvements to get them to about a 2.5, they need to implement more advanced ITAM policies. This is generally related in and around software. We need to run a scheduled software inventory, implement a CMDB for hardware and configuration items, and begin collecting the financial information from hardware and software assets. Some potential savings: the customer was actually able to start capturing software information and found a number of unauthorized installs. This would be huge risk to the company if there ever was an audit done by a vendor. Software requests start to become more centralized, and some start to even require approvals. And this will start to eliminate some of those uh, software purchases that require approvals that aren't currently receiving them. The CMDB allows the organization to see the asset relationships, whether that's to locations or owners, along with which software is installed. The collection of the financial information, we start to get the big picture, the total cost of ownership for our assets, given the fact that 70% of the costs generated for an asset are occurred after you purchase that asset. It allows organizations to perform application reconciliation. This is going to be huge for the ability to reharvest some of those applications and redistribute them versus continually buying new licenses. And chargebacks start to reduce the unnecessary spend throughout the request approvals. Now, as you can see, the timing for both of these are going to vary depending upon the number of tasks each customer wants to complete. And with that, I thank you. Please continue to check back in at ITS for more exciting videos.